All right, so this is section 1.3. So if you've clicked on the section 1.3 notes and you have that sitting in front of you, that's what this belongs to. I have kind of like abbreviated and things here, but it's exactly the same page. Okay, so I'm going to go over it, and then if you want to jot some notes on top of those notes or however you want to do that, that's what we're doing is I give you the notes, and then obviously if you're just staring at these notes, it doesn't mean anything. Okay, you got to watch the video as well. All right, so anyway, the first thing it says is statistic versus parameter. Okay, it's a statistics class. It's the same thing as a survey versus the entire population. Anytime you're just asking some people and hope that's good enough, that's a survey, so it's a statistic. A parameter, you're never going to really mostly get a chance to ask the entire population. You can't go around the United States and find out the height of the entire population. You're just going to do some sort of survey and hope you get close. Okay, the U.S. Census, maybe they could do the population, but mostly they won't be that. Now, on these, I have to say whether these four, I have to say whether they're a statistic or a parameter. And when you do the homework section of this, you can do it with abbreviations like I am. Really, there's no work you can possibly show here. Okay, states, the number of letters in states' names. All right, well, there's only 50 states. I mean, if I was making some sort of jewelry or something and I wanted to, you know, set up my machinery so it could handle any of the different states, I might actually just go through on the internet, get a list of the states, and there's only 50. For each and every one, count up the number of them. I could do the entire population. Okay, so this would be population because I could do it. It's reasonable. And then the number of people, I can't remember, 67, 93 or whatever it was, people who survived the Hindenburg, they didn't do a survey for that. It was only like 97 people. So they just went down the passenger list, dead, yep, alive, yep. And so they did the entire population as well. Survey of 1,503 adults. Okay, this is not everyone who's ever owned a phone. It's 1,503 adults, and 53% have a landline and a cell phone or something like that. Okay, the word survey is right there in the middle of it. They didn't ask every person who's ever owned a phone. They just took a survey. The average math score on the SAT. Okay, well, that presumably, I mean, if you want me to do it, I can go around and I could probably just do a quick survey. Okay, but probably they got that from the College Board. And the College Board does know everybody's score. So that's probably the entire population of people who took the ACT that year. All right, now then we move down to the next section, discrete versus continuous. Okay. Discrete is like integers, counting numbers, little kid numbers, 1, 2, 3. Continuous also includes fractions and decimals. Okay, you have to be able to anticipate the sorts of data you're likely to get if you ask people a question and they start answering you with fractions and then you don't have anywhere in your blank to put that, that's a problem. So you should kind of anticipate that. All right. States' names. Again, this is the same. I've counted up all the letters in each state. I'm never going to have a state. I mean, Ohio has 4, okay, and Iowa has 4, but I never got 4.5. Not possible. They either got 4 letters or 5 letters or something, but they don't have, so this is going to be discrete. There's no way to have 4.5 letters. Age of the residents in a nursing home. Well, if I went around and asked the people in the nursing home, how old are you? Chances are they're not going to give me fractions or decimals. Oh, I'm 102, I'm 103. They're not going to say I'm 102.5. Okay, so it could be discrete. If I just asked them a survey question, how old are you? And I have a question mark followed by a blank, they could. I would have to call it continuous because of the way I asked it. If I did one of those little drop-down menu things, like if you can get old people to use the internet, okay, and you got one of those little drop-down menus and the numbers come down, and I only let them choose 102 or 103, there's no way they could choose 102.5. So I would probably go with discrete here because I wouldn't want to deal with any more than that, and I could set it up to be discrete. Age, then when babies take their first step. Okay, you better leave room for fractions here because every mom is going to tell you right down to the minute there's going to be fractions, decimals, microfractions. You better leave room for that. They're going to tell you that. Number of teeth a shark has. Well, it either is a tooth or it isn't. I know they got tons of them and there's some growing in at all times, but then it counts as a tooth, so I'm going to have to call that discrete. All right. Nominal versus ordinal versus interval versus ratio. Okay, these first two right here, nominal and ordinal, those are always words, and interval and ratio, those are numbers. So that should help us. And interval is the hardest one to explain, so it's the easiest one to find. Okay, interval, it has a question about absolute zero. If it's 100 degrees today and 110 degrees tomorrow, does that mean it's 10% hotter? It's 10 degrees hotter, certainly, but is it 10% hotter? Can you do percents with temperature? And so it's all this whole long thing about having a zero, not having a zero, not agreed upon zero, whatever. Okay, but in the end, the only things they ever come up with are time and temperature. So if someone's asking me nominal versus ordinal versus interval versus ratio, I always do the interval ones first. I look for any time or temperature. Okay, so outdoor temp, average temp. All right, that's it. Okay, so I've got that. Now the color, okay, first I got to do nominal versus ordinal. Ordinal, it says order, ordinal. And nominal is, they're just names for things. So color of cars is nominal. You can't say, oh, white cars are better than blue cars. Okay, but letter grades, those are words, they're not numbers. And they do have an order. Everybody knows what the order is on that, so it's ordinal. Home price is a number, okay? If it's not time or temperature, it's ratio. All of the numbers that aren't time or temperature are ratio. Motion picture ratings, like G and PG and stuff like that, those are definitely letters, so you skip out those two. Nominal versus ordinal. Okay, we all know G rating is going to have different kind of movie than a PG and different kind of movie than an R, and we all agree upon the order there, so I'll call that ordinal. Types of music, so like hip-hop and rap and rock and classic and whatever, those definitely are words, and those we don't agree upon the order. You might have your own personal order, but I would just say that's nominal because there's not an agreed upon order. And then the average rainfall in San Francisco, because we had the average temperature in San Francisco, the average rainfall, it is not time or temperature, so it is ratio.